Hey everyone, I'm sitting here editing this video, trying to get it ready for upload for you all, and while putting it together, I realized that the beginning of the video is very cut dry and it's boring to watch. There's a lot of very good, useful information in it, and I couldn't cut any of that out. There's going to be some people out there that needs this information, and I wanted to leave it in for them. But it's kind of hard to watch. There's no music or anything. There's nothing real catching to keep your attention. So if you want to skip the introduction and the firmware update information and me testing it on my test bench, go ahead and skip to 21 minutes and 35 seconds. That's where it gets a little more fun. Um, but if you need to know everything there is to know about this unit, please watch the whole video. And I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to Joey's Garage. Today we're going to be taking a look at Power Acoustic's car stereo upgrade head unit and 4-speaker kit that you could buy at Walmart right now for $75. This is a project that I'm going to be doing for a friend of mine. He bought this to put in his daughter's car for her birthday, so we're going to see if we can't help him out. So before we get to unboxing, there's a little bit of homework that we got to do. Online, a lot of people are complaining about this radio locking up on them when they get it installed and they try to start setting their radio station presets. The screen will just lock up on them, and they have to hit the reset button, which can be found on the front left, just underneath of the access port for USB. There's a little bitty button in there. You just take a paper clip and you push in and reset it. What you need to do is you need to go to the Power Acoustics website and download a firmware update for the stereo. So I figured instead of waiting until we get it in the car, we'll just hook it up on the bench, test it, make sure everything works the way it's supposed to. We'll install the firmware update, and then when we see that everything is working correctly, then we'll put it in the car. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so what you want to do is go to the Power Acoustics website to download the firmware update. And how you do that is you go to Google or your search engine of choice and you just type in Power Acoustic. And when you hit enter, you'll see it pop up right here, poweracoustic.com. Just click on it. And this is what the website should look like. So when you get here, right up here at the top, you'll see source units. You want to click on that. Select, in our case, it's double-din radio. And once that pulls up, the type that we're putting in is the CPAAM-S2 double-din radio. So we'll click on that. It's the second one here. You'll scroll down over here on the left-hand side. You'll see support. And then right here you have the firmware update, the update instructions, the owner's manual, cell cut sheet, troubleshooting setup. So they have a lot of resources here for you if you're having trouble putting this in, or if you're not the everyday installer, you need a little extra help. You will want to click right here. I've already done this, so I won't do it again, but you'll download the firmware update. It'll download in a zip file format. And what that does is it takes you to downloads. It'll be under your downloads tab, and you'll see this right here. It's a zipped file, and what that means is it's compressed, so it's a smaller item that you have to download. And what you want to do when you get it downloaded is you want to right click and you want to go to extract all. It'll bring this tab up. You want to click on browse. You want to put a USB thumb drive in your computer so that you can transfer the firmware update from your computer to the radio, and we'll get into that later. So I've already got the thumb drive installed in my computer. It's USB-E for me. So So I would choose the USB-E select folder. As you see, it says it's going to extract all the files to the E drive. Click extract. Since I've already done this, I get this icon, but you won't. You'll just see a progress bar pop up, and it'll tell you 25%, 50%. When it's done, I'm going to select it. When it's done, you'll see that everything's been extracted here. That's all we have to do on the computer. We're ready to get the stereo unboxed, get it fired up, and download the firmware update onto the system. So let's get to that now. Just before we do though, if you click on this update instructions, it gives you a really good detailed description of what you need to do next. So it tells you to download the firmware update, which I just showed you how to do. It tells you to save it to a USB flash drive. And then the next step is you would go to the stereo, insert the USB stick, and select the settings button from the home screen. So we haven't made it that far yet, but we would click on settings, select general tab at the bottom of the screen, and swipe up and press the over tab. It's to the right of the serial inversion. And then you would select, there should be an icon there for system upgrade. Once we get that done, we'll just follow the on-screen instructions, and then it would say upgrade, progress bar, and then update completed, and we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed, get it fired up, and we'll go from there, get it installed. Alright, so now that we've got everything, the firmware update downloaded and it's ready to go, let's get this thing unboxed. Let's see what comes in the package, and then we'll get it hooked up on the bench here and see if we can't get the firmware update installed, and then we'll get it put in the car. So we have the Power Acoustics car stereo upgrade. It works with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It has wireless music browsing, USB and SD playback. It's capacitive touch panel, so you have resistive touch or capacitive touch. And from all the research that I've done over all the big car brands, capacitive is a really good one that you want to look for. Dynamic sound and performance. So this kit is $75 at Walmart right now. I've said that a couple of times, but it's stated that it's a pretty big bang for its buck. It might be a cheap radio, but if you're on a budget build, this one should be a really good radio. I don't know what the longevity of them are, but we'll let them test it out and have it in their car, and they can tell us if they run into any issues. And if they report something to me, I'll jump on here and report it to you. So let's quit wasting time and get this thing open. So you got some really nice foam packaging, and the radio itself is right on top. There's a few things to the right and left of it. Let's get that out of the way. So you got a really nice remote that comes with it. It looks like it's got buttons on it for answering and ending a telephone call, your power mode, volume up, down, source select, play and pause. That's a pretty nice remote. I don't think that I've held a remote that actually has the answer the call and end call right on the remote. So that's really cool. You got some brackets that goes on the side of the radio for mounting. We've got a mounting kit. I'm not sure if I'm going to need this or not, but we'll see. You've got your basic wiring harness. Go ahead and get that open. So it's got all your common wires on it. Your ground, your speakers, power, an accessory, illumination. Nothing really this different that stands out to me right now. There should be a wire It might be on the back of the radio that you have to hook up to a parking brake. It's a safety feature, so you're not messing with some of the features that it has while you're driving down the road and could potentially cause an accident. We'll be bypassing that, so I'll show you that part when I'm doing the install. So let's see if we can get the radio itself out here. Got some screws, set them aside, silicone gel. Okay. It's in there nice and tight, I'll give them that. This is a very thin radio, very light too. It has almost no weight to it. So on the back here, you have got front-facing cam, Bluetooth antenna. This pink wire is your park brake. That one you'll just hook up with your ground. It'll bypass that safety feature I was just telling you about. This is an external microphone, so it has a microphone built into the front here. And sources on the internet says that it is a good microphone, but it sounds like you're talking in a hallway. The people that are listening to you, it sounds like you're in a hallway. So they do give you the feature that if you want to buy an external microphone and hook it up and put it on your sun visor or somewhere inside of your car, you have that option. It doesn't come in a box though. And then this is your front cam 12 volts. So this is where you source your power and your ground for your front facing camera. And then you've got a lot of inputs over here, it looks like. So let me turn this around so I can read it. Front right, rear right, subwoofer out, front cam, video out 2, main camera. So it's got a lot of camera inputs and video outputs and audio source outputs if you were going to hook up a radio. And then you've got your antenna, your car's antenna over here, and your main power adapter here, and a 15 amp fuse right here beside the power. It does have a chart on the top of the unit that shows you what wire goes to what. So again, if you're not an everyday installer, you just look at this chart. It'll tell you like the black wire is your ground, and then if you look at the wiring harness and you look for the black wire, here's the black wire. You look at the tag that they have on there and it says ground. So it matches up to what this is saying. So you hook ground to ground, power to power, speaker to speaker. It's very simple to do. Just take your time, make sure that you get your wires connected good so they're not going to pull apart, and get them taped up, or and what I like to do is use heat shrink. But you get those sealed up so bare wires, 2 different wires can't touch each other, short the system out, and cause a fuse to pop or damage to the radio itself. So just take your time when you're hooking this up. It's really not that bad to do. So there's the unit. Again, like I said, that's really, really light. In here, I'm going to pull one of them out, but there are 4 speakers. They're not going to work for the application that I'm doing. They bought the kit because it was the right price. But these are 3-way 6.5 door speakers. They fit most OEM vehicles, but the vehicle that I'm working on, it has 6x9s in the back. So this isn't going to work for us. So the speaker has got a tweeter, set of tweeters in the middle here. It's got a little capacitor on the back, which is always nice to see. This is like a really firm, I'm not sure what kind of material that is, but they've the way that it's stamped, it looks like carbon fiber. So it's got a really nice look to it. The speaker leads, they're soldered on. They look like they're pretty decent for the price tag that's on this kit. Then on the back, it's got two different size terminals, the bigger one for the positive and the smaller one for the negative. And a lot of times it comes with, it comes with speaker wires, and it's already got the connections on the end. One of them is the fatter plug, and the other one's the skinnier plug, so you can't get it backwards. As long as you wire it correctly, you'll get the best polarity. It'll sound the best. So all in all, it says 400 watt max, which by rule of thumb, RMS power is usually about half of what your peak is. So I would say about 200 watts. But with the price of these, I don't know if I would trust running 200 watts through these. I'd probably just, whatever the radio is. I'm not sure what this one is. I haven't read into it yet, but typically 40, 50 watts per channel is what they do. Let me see if I can find it for you here. Okay, looking for the wattage here for RMS output of the radio, and I'm not seeing it, but additional head unit upgrades. High definition 7-inch LCD with adjustable LED backlight, so you can make the screen brighter or dimmer. It's got the capacitive touch, accurately senses touch points, multicolor key accents, dashboard illumination, Bluetooth, V5.0 for wireless phone and phone connection or phone connectivity, USB interface for playback of audio and video for flash drive, micro SD slot for audio and video playback from micro SD card. I'm not seeing what the RMS and max voltage output is on the radio itself. So I'll see if I can dig that information up. Maybe I'll just throw it on the screen right here later. But getting back to this speaker, so it also has this grill. It just sits over top of it if you want to use it. It's pretty decent looking. So we'll set all this stuff aside. We'll get this hooked up to our test bench. I'll kick the camera back on and we'll do a firmware update, and then we'll take a look at some of the radio's features and we'll get it installed in the car. Okay, we've got the Power Acoustics CPAAM-S2 wired up to our test bench. So let's flip the power on, see if everything's working. I did hook that pink wire up to ground to bypass the emergency brake, so we shouldn't have any issues there. So here we come to a main menu. So let's select English, America. Okay, check mark. Takes us to the main screen. So before we go any farther, we want to get that firmware update installed so we don't have any issues with the system freezing up on us. So let's get our flash drive plugged in. And we will follow the on-screen instructions. So it says insert the USB stick and select settings buttons from the home menu. It's down here. Select general. There's serial inversions. System upgrade. Select MCU and ARM. And then update. It says the system will reboot when it's done. Head unit will restart itself once completed. Okay, there we go. So let's take a look at some of the settings now that we're done. You get your band, which is what we're on, FM1, FM2, FM3, AM1, AM2, and your settings over here. So I don't have a radio installed, but 89.9, 90.5. Just push and hold it for a couple of seconds. You don't feel a vibration or anything. It doesn't look or feel like it's working, but just hold it for a few seconds, it will program. So let's go into EQ. We're not going to do any settings here. I just want to kind of take a look at some things. So that's your balance, your EQ. You can move things around, or you can go to classic, rock, jazz, electric, pop, soft, standard, back to custom. Surround. Here, I think, is where you can get into not necessarily time delays. It might be. But we'll check that out once we have it in the car. Now, like I said, this car has 6x9s in the back, and they're not working. So when we get it installed, we're only going to be hearing sound from the front speakers. And then you can do a reset. Let's go back. Let's go home. So you got radio, phone, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth music, and USB. You got your clock over here. I don't know if you can change it. So there you can set your month, your date, sound, general settings, brightness, video control, serial version. We've already done all of that, so we're not going to mess with that. You can go into wallpaper. It looks like you have a few different types that you could choose from, but you can't do like your own personal wallpaper. We'll confirm that. Go to the home screen. There we go. Okay, so it looks like everything's working. Let's go ahead and get it in the car and get it sitting down the road. Well, I think that about wraps up my Power Acoustics CPAAM-S2 install for my friend's daughter in her car. First impressions, it is a $75 radio right now, so you can't have high expectations. For the price, it is a pretty good radio. It sounds great. I turned it up to volume 28 and it seemed like it was rocking pretty good. And it'd probably sound a little bit better if the back speakers in this car wasn't blown, but they don't have the speakers. I'm not gonna buy them, so we'll cross that bridge if they decide they want to cross it. We'll do it then. But the response, the touch response, seems like it's okay. It was a little bit troublesome here and there. I would touch the screen and it wouldn't really do anything. I'd wait a few seconds and I would try again and it would do what I wanted it to, no problem. So I would like to have a radio that had a little bit more touch response, input from the user. The Bluetooth was a little bit gimmicky setting up. It acted like it searched for my phone, never found it. So I was going through some of the menus and the settings and trying to figure out what was going on. And finally I just found my phone and connected with no problem. I turned the car off, got out, gave it a few minutes, got back in, turned the car back on, and immediately connected back to my phone. So there's no Bluetooth connection issues once you finally get it connected. It's just a little bit troublesome getting it connected for the first time. It might have been just a little fluke thing. When I connect their phone to it for the first time, I'll see if it does the same thing. If it does, I'll let you know. Overall though, for $75, a budget build, it is a great radio. Like I said before, I don't know the longevity of this. I don't know if it'll go out in a year. But if you want something that has great touch response, you know, you touch the screen, it does exactly what you want, no fumbling around with it, you might go with something a little bit higher price ranged. But I can't really dog this radio that much. For the $75 that they spent, it sounds great, it looks great. You know, it looks really good in the car, but it just depends on what you're looking for. I haven't tried out the speakerphone or anything like that in the car, so I'm not going to review that. Android Auto, I couldn't get it to connect. It doesn't have an antenna or anything in the car. I seen the feature on the screen, but it was just grayed out. Every time I would try to hit it, it wouldn't connect. So I'd have to dig in a little bit more and see if there's something on my phone that I got to do different. I know in my car, I get in, Android Auto just automatically pops up and it gives me a prompt on my screen. If I want to use Android Auto, I just use the screen on the stereo in my car. This one didn't do that. So I'll dig through the settings a little bit more and see if I can figure that out. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video here. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.